Hi, I'm on a mission to make working lives better. No, really. We spend more time in the office than at home, and a miserable working life has a major impact on our relationships, both at work and home. I truly believe that when you can bring your whole self to work and go home fulfilled, then not only will you feel better, so will those around you. I've spent a lot of time looking at what stops that from happening. Let's be clear here, no one comes to work wanting to feel miserable, or make others feel miserable. Well, okay, there might be a few psychos, but much less than you think. You see, they're miserable too. Work can sometimes be a miserable pity party of knock-on consequences. So where can we start to make a change? First, let's talk about autonomy, mastery, and purpose. When we have a shared purpose, to achieve something greater than we can achieve alone, we have something to strive for. But without some ability to actually influence that, we'll quickly become disillusioned, or worse, actually depressed. So we need to be able to influence and deliver on our purpose, and that requires autonomy, the ability to make decisions on how we achieve our purpose. To achieve that requires we are empowered. Empowered means someone has handed the power over, not shared it to pull it back later or to judge or second guess those decisions. The power can only sit in one place. Now we have a purpose, a goal that delivers an outcome greater than we can achieve alone, that does good and is shared, and we can actually do something to deliver it. As humans, we also need to get better at the things we care about. And that's where mastery comes in. We can invest our energy willingly to improve a craft. Now we have a team or team of teams passionate about a purpose and enabled to deliver on it. Well, no, not really, because there's some housekeeping to do too. Not just the heavy lifting of building and sharing our vision, but in creating structures that actually allow empowered teams. With me so far? Good. So let's talk about planning. Good planning isn't about getting from A to B, it's also about deciding as a team where B actually might be and how we might get there. And for the love of all that's good and wholesome, please don't say we're agile, we don't plan. Agile requires ongoing planning, with planning at the day, sprint, possibly release level, and with higher level roadmaps. Now I've got that out of my system, let's consider what planning we can do. Where we have low ambiguity and high confidence in how something will play out, we can have long-range plans. In fact, it makes sense to do that. We've done this thing tens of times before. Let's just do that again. As reasonable as that sounds, in my experience, what you think is a simple problem might not be that anymore. We've added layer after layer of complexity and connectivity in, and the rate of that is just increasing. So maybe that simple thing isn't? So there is ambiguity, and we know that we might need to change direction. Well, an investment in an 18-month detailed plan is likely a waste of time. A rough sketch might be useful, but a detailed map will likely have changed before we even set off. Have you ever had a change review board in the first few weeks of that long project? When you pretended we hadn't queued up changes so that we could meet the start date? Nah, me neither. Short-term plans sound great. Let's do agile, nice, short-range plans and feedback adjusting those plans. That's awesome. But stop. Why did we plan before? Wasn't it something to do with dependencies? Oh yeah, we had to make sure that Team A deliver to Team B in the right window for the release schedule, etc., etc. So what happens if we just ask existing teams to create short plans? They get stuck with a million unmanaged dependencies. You see, their plan was, theirs, only theirs. They run over to Team B begging for them to do their bit of work in the next sprint, and people ask them to do the same, and all of a sudden all the teams are tied up in red wall. So like matter and antimatter exploding on contact, this unplanned work is anti-work and annihilates planned work. But in an anti-work explosion there's slightly more fans and crap involved. So how can we even follow our plan when we have all those interrupts? So how do I manage all those damn dependencies? An army of project managers and a centralised plan and view? Well, isn't that what we said wasn't actually suitable for our ambiguous work? So maybe we need to decentralise the management of dependencies. Maybe first we'll try to reduce them as much as possible though. Let's create a team with people from Team A and Team B. They'll be able to plan how they get that thing done together and have a plan. We'll add some Team C in there because that set of outcomes we'd like, that needs some of those skills too. Phew, so now we've got no dependencies. Dream on, there'll still be some, but much fewer, and because there are less, they can be managed more easily by the teams. Maybe they need to get together once a week to discuss and plan, but that's way better than before, right? Rebuilding an entire organisation into these teams is hard. Well, hell yes. But that's also a problem with high ambiguity. So let's follow those previous principles and decide where B, or a best guess, is, and our first step, because an 18-month plan written down now is probably wrong now. And again, now, and you get the point. And I can read your thoughts. Then how do I tell what skills we need in our teams? Help my management to understand the need to change, and all whilst delivering. I've got a mortgage to pay, you know. There are some things we can do to start to turn the tide. Firstly though, a word of warning. I'm a brave fool. I have no inner voice. When I think it, I say it. That approach can be career limiting. I'm fine with that, but you need to understand the bounds you are working in, where it is safe to push or shine a light on the challenges. I'll describe things in my words because, well, they're all I have. You will need to find your own. So with that Surgeon General's warning ringing in your ears, let's push on with making it visible, shall we? Let's assume you've already built some Scrum teams. Well, not really Scrum teams because all of that dependency stuff, but you've kind of got a product owner who can make some decisions about the work order sometimes. And you have a team who work in 2-week chunks and produce an output. If that's you, you aren't alone, but good news, we're trying to fix it. The team has a to-do list. You might call it a product backlog. The first thing I need you to do with that backlog is to prioritise it on its value. And be merciless on that. Not the most valuable thing you can do at the top, but the most valuable thing full stop. One slight aside here is value. Quite often value means return on investment. And that's often far too short-sighted. What about the things we do to capture a new opportunity, or a mandatory change for the regulator? Take a look at cost of delay for some ideas on understanding value. So we've got a backlog and that's prioritised by value. Great. Now we can look at the dependencies against each of those things on the list. Maybe we can create a definition of ready. You know that's ready to finish though, not ready to start, right? Maybe we can classify some states of readiness. I like to use bronze, silver and gold. In bronze we might discuss, does it have dependencies? Are there any assets needed? Is the story estimated to a small, medium or large level of confidence? Is it epic sized or story sized? Does it define some value? Is it testable? As we get to silver, we'll refine that. Think of what's important for your team to finish the work. Let's be clear here. I know we have mortgages to pay and baby needs new shoes, so I'm not saying we won't start work on these. But it shouldn't be a big leap to have a discussion about the likelihood of finishing the work and managing expectations now that we've told people that it's not ready to finish. Another good thing here is if we bucket up the backlog for the next few sprints, I can see how mature each sprint is. If most of the stories are gold, we're looking pretty good. But if not, as a Scrum Master, I can help the product owner to focus on refining the backlog items that add the most value. Maybe that's reduce the most risk. By calling this stuff out and making it visible, we can start to have a grown-up discussion about what we need to do to fix things. And by facilitating that, we are starting to become masters of Scrum Mastery too. And for the product owner facing internal stakeholders who are driving direction and where the leadership team are mandating the return they expect from your team, this product needs to make $1 bajillion this year or else. Now we can look at the value in the backlog and using our best guesses, or maybe data if you have that luxury, to have a conversation that for me goes a bit like this. Great news, boss. We've looked at our product backlog. I'm reasonably confident it contains $1 bajillion of value. Unfortunately, only $75,000 is accessible. So I have 3 choices. Can you help me decide? I can start on the things I know I can't deliver, so I can't guarantee getting that value. I can start on things I can deliver, but I know they are worth less than the most valuable things. Or I can invest effort in making the highest, most valuable, more accessible, but it will require support and structural changes to stand any chance of success, and it's going to require some difficult discussions. Which one should I do? Look, I know there are some hard-ass bosses out there who will say, I pay you to solve those dependencies, so go do it. And I'd say, great. So I have your blessing to restructure the team and to take people from other departments then. Could you just let marketing and ops know I'll be sending a Viking raiding party over tomorrow at dawn and stealing Kate and Michael? Look, I know it isn't as easy as this in the real world, but like all things, if we don't try, then nothing will change. So what is the one step in the right direction you can make? And you know, I'm here to help, right? So just reach out and ask. I've been Tim Robinson. I intend to remain Tim for the foreseeable future, and you can contact me through tim@agilist.co.uk. I should also be clear that none of this is my own work. I'm lucky to be part of a community built upon sharing ideas for a greater good. If you'd like to use this to help others, I'd love to know about it, but feel free to use it. And if this has been any use to you, it would help me out if you were to like and subscribe, as that will help other people to see my content. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.